Yeah, so welcome back guys, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a custom window and how you can just manipulate your windows and design them in the ArchiCad yourself. So the reason I'm saying we're going to make a window today is because maybe ArchiCad has some windows here, window options, and if you look at them, you can see there are quite many of them. So let me just look at them here. See, there are quite many of them, but most of them are a bit, they're just a bit too basic, and most of them, if you see, if I select, let me first put a plan and we can continue from there. So let me just draw a slab, just like a small plan here. Then let me take a wall and magic wand it there. Then let me take a roof and draw it where I want it, so that you can able to see what I'm saying. So this is what you draw there, and then yeah, so if you can see from my 3D, it's just a small house, just a basic house, nothing much, nothing big and nothing outrageous. I'm just making a small house for example. Yeah, so with that done, actually it's just it's a big house. Let me just delete it. It's just too big. Then we go back to the ground floor, make something logical, maybe 6,000 by 6,000. Let me see, what was this? 6,000 by 6,000. Sorry for this, guys. Making us so 6,000, 6,000, then tab 6,000. Then I enter. Then I take the roof. Make sure it's maybe 30 degrees. Then draw my basic house. So just draw the basic house first, and then I put the wall too. And I take the wall, and then I just highlight it on the slab. So as you can see, this is my basic house that I have now, and I just want to design my own doors and my own windows for my house. So to make that accomplishable, I'll have to now look at, I can actually just bring the design out of my head, or I can look for some reference in the internet and draft it out here. So for today, I want us to actually take the design and design ourselves from our creative mind. Then we make and put it on our model. So first of all, I'm going to be designing the windows, and as I've said before, let's take an example from ArchiCAD and see how it's going to be too basic for us. So for example, you can see if I take one of these windows here, maybe this double sash, and I put it there, there's something that you can see. You can actually just tell that this one is an ArchiCAD window, and it's a wooden window. You know, most of these wooden windows, you cannot actually be, you will not be actually seeing them unless it's something somewhere local. They're mostly metallic and things like that. And maybe I'm not informed, but I don't see anywhere you can actually change the material of the window in our basic window settings here. So maybe let me just browse and see if I can see how I can change them. But after my browsing here, you can see there's no option for me to change the material of the window to wooden. And maybe if you can see the option, you can tell me in the comments. So you can see this, yeah, everything is just so basic. So with that said, I just want to make my own custom window that I can actually use. Yeah, so let me just delete this one, and then I'm going to the ground floor, and I'm going to design my own window. So for a basic window, we are going to use the slab tool to make our own window. So first of all, I want a window that is just 2 meters by 1500 high. So with that said, let me just write my dimensions with the slab tool, and then I enter. So with that done, now we have our window outline. So to design the window, we're going to use our line tool. We're going to actually have to draft the design before we actually make it a window. So I'm going to draft it. Let me just highlight the slab first with my line tool and draw this and drag the slab maybe somewhere here, so that I'll be able to drag it back when I'm finished designing here. So with that said, now we have our line, which is the window outline. So first of all, I want to make the thickness of the window, which is actually this thickness that is making the jump details of the window. So I'm just going to suspend the groups, then I'm going to select one of the corners, and then I'm going to offset it. First of all, before I offset, let me first Control C, copy the line outline, and then I'm going to paste it again on the same position so that I can be able to actually offset one of the lines. So I'm going to select the lines, take one of the lines, and suspend again, take one of the lines, and then I'm going to offset it by, let's say, 80 millimeters. So actually it has taken out the line. Control Z. I'm going to take one, and then I'm going to suspend the groups, and I'm going to suspend again. So I'm just going to take it again, and I'm going to drag it by 80, offset it by 80. Yeah, with that said, you can see what I've done. I've just first I copied the first outline, and then I pasted it in the same location, and then I chose one of them, one of the copies, then I offsetted it down to this 80 centimeters here, so you can have a window outline here. So first I'm going to design my window in a form of, I want to make it a grid like, and it's going to have three sections, with two sections, with the first section being open and small grid, and the middle section being a lot of grids. So let me just draw it out so that you can be able to see what I'm saying. So let me first take a line up to here, and I'm going to select the same line, and I'm going to Control U it and spread it so that in a manner that will make the section be into three parts. So the different spaces will make 660 will be able to cut the space into three segments. So I'm just going to drag the segments out. So with that said, now we have our three segments. Maybe this one is too big for the rest. Just gonna drag it out a bit, so somewhere here. Yeah, so you can see now we have three equal segments with the two equal segments and one big one. So I'm going to design this segment, and this one and this one will be the same, and then this one will actually be the fixed segment with a lot of grids. So let me first offset these two. I'm going to Control Shift D it. Actually, I'm just going to drag a copy, and I'm going to drag it by, let's say, 50. Then I'm going to take the same one here and Control Shift D it, drag it by 50. So that's 5 centimeters. So actually now we have our window outline here. So the next thing I'm going to do, I want to design some grids on this section here, and I'm going to have to use my line tool. I'm just going to draw a line here. Yeah, and then I'm going to actually have to distribute it here in, like, let's say, I'm going to spread it, let's say, into 4 segments. So just say, let me say 1500 divided by 4. It's going to be something like, yeah, let me just, something like 375. But remember, there was an offset of 80 on each side. So let me make sure it's actually the right one. So just make sure and do my, yeah, so after my division, I've found out that the middle section to be divided into 4 sections, I'm going to have to offset it by 335 spacing. So let me spread them down. Let's see. Yeah, see, that's okay, that's accurate. Now I'm going to draw another segment that is going to cut this area into half, yeah, forming a grid like this. So this is my middle design, and then for this one, I'm just going to design here. I'm just going to extend this one to this place here, and extend this one to this place here too, allowing for me to have I'm going to cut this one into half here, let's say somewhere here, and then I'm going to have my window already drafted out with lines. So the next thing I'm just going to do is I'm just going to make the thicknesses for this line, because metal cannot be this thin. So I'm just going to actually have to drag a copy of this. Excuse me. Control Shift D, dragging a copy again. Let me drag it somewhere here. Say by 30. And I'm dragging there. Then I'm going to drag a copy of this to Control Shift D by 30. Yeah. Sorry for that. I have a little cough. So Control Shift D by 30. And then this one by 30 again. Control Shift D by 30. Yeah, so that said, now we have our outline for our window. Let me make this one cut by Control Shift D again by 30. Something like this, and then Control Shift D by 30. So you see we have our window outline. Let me just make transforms for this one. Transforms are actually a section for the top here. So I'm just going to make transform here and transform exactly at the same point to the next one. So I'm just going to shift both of them and then Control Shift D by 30. Yeah, so that said, now we have our window outline. I'm just going to make this one to have a thickness. Shift D by 30. Yeah, so we have our window outline. This is how my custom window is supposed to be looking like. So as you can see, there are these sections that are actually crossing each other, and in real sense, metals are actually welded together. So we want to be actually able to see something like this in real life. So to make them realistic, I'm just going to remove this crossing section. So I'm just going to press control and then remove these crossing sections to allow for a joint like this. So I'm going to do that in every section, because actually for that it's going to be actually done for this. So let me first finish the center here, and then let's go down here, and here. This one too will be joining with that, and this area, let me Control Z. Let me control this area. Let's see it. Make sure you press the control and you continually press it while you are highlighting the place you want to cut. So yeah, so here too it's supposed to join the main frame with a seamless joint like that. So let me make sure it does that and do that too. So I'm gonna make it like that. Yes, so this one too, I'm going to make sure this one comes out like this. Yeah, mostly the way why I'm doing this is because you'll see I'm going to be making a window schedule in my mostly in the in the later stages of the project. I'm able to tell the fundi how my window is going to look like and where the hinges are going to be using lines. Yeah, so don't worry about the hinges and stuff like that. So yeah, with that said, now we have our middle section here. Let me just make this one seamless again. Yes, so middle section here. Yes, so we have our window, our seamless window, our window outline, or my custom window, drawn out using the line tool. So now with that said, now we can actually start and design the window itself. So yeah, so as an architect, you're supposed to have these details in check, because you don't want to always use the windows of ArchiCad, because that will just make your creativity to be low. So this is my outline of my custom window. So first of all, I'm going to drag my slab back to where it's supposed to be on this outline there, and then I'm going to make the settings of the slab to be of what a window frame is, how it's supposed to be. So I'm going to go to the slab tool, and I'm going to make a custom slab with the window I want to have it, I want to make it of aluminium. So I'm just going to select the material as aluminium. And the thickness, I want it to be like, let's say 50. It's about 5 centimeters. So with that done now, I'm going to go to the model and appearance and make the appearance to be, maybe I want it to be gray. So let me just go to the paint and make it dark gray. So everything, and then select everything. So with that said, now I have my window frame material that is this aluminium done. So I'm going to press OK, and it's going to be on this slab. So I want to remove these sections. You can see these sections here are going to be made of glass with the joints and the metals made of aluminium. So I'm just going to select one of the nodes. I'm going to press this minus, then I'm going to magic wand them on this section. So then press again, magic wand. Let's do it the same the way I'm doing it. Press it, magic wand it on these grid sections here. So yes, so the way I'm going to do it is this way. Yeah, make sure just highlight the section where the glass is going to be. So that's why we're going to separate, and we're going to use a slab to make the same thing. Now you can see this is my window frame made of metal, and now these sections here are going to be made of glass, and I'm going to use my slab tool again. I'm just going to go back to the slab settings, and then I'm going to make them a custom slab, and then select glass again. So that's how I'm going to select the glass, and then glass is going to be a bit thin, maybe 10, and then maybe 15. Yeah, so actually 10 is enough. So with that said, now we have our glass, and I'm going to make it, let's say, what type of glass do I want to use? I'm just going to look for the glass options in ArchiCad, and I can see there are different glass options. So maybe I want to make mine blue, so I'm going to highlight it in every section there. So that done, I'm going to press OK, and then I'm going to magic wand on these sections that are supposed to be glass. So let's magic wand there. Make sure you magic wand each section. Yeah, so that done, now we can go to 3D and look at our custom window. So you can see now it's just in the form of a slab, and you can see the way it looks like. Yeah, so with that done, I'm going to highlight it, and I'm just going to change the pen sets because I don't like these pen sets that are green. So I'm just going to the floor plan section and change the pen sets so that they can be black, because in real life things are actually, the pen set in real life is black. Yeah, so that's how things become conspicuous. So let me make sure it's actually very conspicuous with black. It's the main pen set. So select everything, come here and select, just select somewhere you can select every, then going to the, and make everything so that it can become conspicuous like this. So with that done, now we have our window complete. I'm just going to select everything here. Let's go here. Let's select everything, and then I'm going to go to File and Libraries and Objects, and then Save Selection As, and then I'm going to save it as a window. Then I'm going to continue and save. Then I'm going to write my window. So I'm going to write it custom window 1, so something like that. So I'm going to save, and then it's going to bring this, and then I'm going to press OK, and then I have my window. So go back to the ground floor and select the window tool, and coincidentally it's going to have your custom window as the one that is already on default there. So I'm just going to, the window sill is supposed to be 1000. Let me outdraw my window. So draw it like that. Let me just draw it somewhere like this, just a small house for reference. Yes, so let me draw another one here and another one here. So for example, you can see these two, I don't want them to be too big like this. I can just click them, and then I can just edit them the way I want. Maybe I want to, maybe the width to be 1500. I just edit there on the edit screen, edit option there, and then I can drag it back so I can have a section for my door, so which I'm going to do again. So select here, and then I'm going to write 1500 too. 1500. Yeah, so that's it. Now we have our windows. Let me see in 3D how things have gone. You can see my custom windows for my house, and they actually look more attractive than the ArchiCad windows, and it's actually making you a designer, because that's how you're supposed to be operating. So the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to now make a custom door for our house. So to make a custom door, just go back to the ground floor, and I'm just going to repeat the same section, the same process that you've done with our window, but actually it's going to be a bigger process because this is a door. So I'm just going to draw again the section for the door that I want to use. Let me highlight this area here, and then I'm just going to make it longer. So let me tab, and then I'm going to make my door a bit 2100. So yeah, so you can see this is my door. No, it was Z. I want the height, not the width. So tab it, then go down, and then 2100. Yes, so we have our door, which is about this size here up to here. Yes, actually, let's just make a custom door here. So go to the slab tool, and let's make the settings first before we continue. Let's just make it a steel door. Let me steel stainless door, and then how it's going to look, I want to make it black or dark gray like the windows. So I'm going to make it everything there, and then the door itself is going to be a bit thick. It's going to be like, let's say 60 centimeters. Let's say okay, and then we're going to draw our slab, tab it, and then we make it. Maybe the door should be 1500, and the height should be 2100. So that done. Now we have our door. So we're going to go again to documents tool, select the line tool, and then we're going to highlight the door area and actually play around with the design. So we're going to select the line again. See, I selected one. I'm just going to group them again, and then I'm going to ungroup them, and I'm going to Control C and Control V. So you can see everything is done. I'm going to press OK. And I'm going to select only one of the copies and group again, and then I'm going to offset it, let's say by 80. We did for the door, yeah. So that done. Now we have our door frame, and maybe if you want in a door we have many approaches. Maybe if you want a door made of glass, you can do the same process that we did for a window. But if you want to mix it, maybe you want this from up to here to be steel, and then up here to be only glass and a grilled glass here, you can actually do that. So let me just make mine in two sections. Let me draw a line first here, and then I'm going to Control Shift D, a copy of that line for a distance of maybe, let's say 40. So 40 centimeters is 400 millimeters. Actually, that's too small. Let me Control Z, and let me make it another distance like 5 or 600. So that's my door. So I'm going to make a grid of this door, make one of the sections to be somewhere there. So this part, all this part here is going to be made of steel, with this frame and the door. So I'm just going to now make my grid of this glass. So I'm just going to take my draw a line here, and then I'm going to divide it into 4 sections. Remember, let's just Control U it, and then make sure it's that 335, 1340, 335. Yes. So just drag the copies here. So you can see now my grid section of my door is forming. So I'm just going to take this one and Control Shift D, dragging a copy, maybe 30. Let's say 30. This is 3 centimeters. And this one too by 30. Let's make it this side here 30. Then enter. Then this one by 30 too. Control Shift D by 30. then enter, and the same one with this one, Ctrl Shift D by 30, then enter. So now we have our door grid that is going to be of glass here. So I'm going to just polish these joints like using my control key like we did for the windows. I know this one by now you have already mastered doing this. So with that done, we have our door frame. So Ctrl Z, Shift here and control it, and then cut this section here and these ones too to be like this. So let me just make sure it's like this. Yeah, so with that done, now we have our, yeah, so you can see my door is already made here. So maybe I want to make a design for my door. Maybe I just want to make this steel here to be grid like too, but it's going to be still made of steel. So I'm just going to drag this one here and then take this and then Control Shift D, copy up to maybe the center here, and then I'm gonna make a grid of a steel too. So because maybe these areas will be protruding outwards in terms of thickness. Yeah, so yeah, now we have our door frame. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to separate the glass area. So I'm just going to select the whole slab, take the corner here, and then minus and remove the glass area. So minus these glass areas and highlight them using the magic wand. Select again, and then minus the way I'm doing them. So this is how we go. Now we have our door frame, and I'm going to go back to my slab, and then make my glass. So actually I'm just going to take my slab and I'm just going to highlight it there the way it is before we just take the attributes from our glass here and inject them on our glasses here too. So I'm gonna inject them back into this glass there. Make sure you highlight the glass areas. Yeah, so make sure you inject the glass areas. Yeah. Control Z that one. I'm gonna inject it to on into this slab here, and then inject the last one. Yeah, so in 3D you can see our door is taking shape just slowly, and maybe we want to, because we don't want it to be a basic door, we want something here, maybe some thickness to some of the steel to come outside to make some type of pattern on the door. So let me go to the ground floor and do that. So I'm going to take this and drag it somewhere there, and then I'm going to Control Shift D, a copy there, and then Control Shift D, a copy here. Yeah, so with that said, I'm going to actually have to separate these sections first and make the thickness a bit bigger before we continue. So I'm going to select the whole slab, I'm going to minus them again. These sections that I want to be bigger, I'm just going to show you in the design. Yeah, so then I'm going to take my slab again, and then I'm going to highlight these sections and make sure they are made of steel by taking attributes from the steel. So just gonna, and then there, so I'm going to select this and let's see if they're steel. Yeah, so just take attributes from the steel slab. Yeah, and then we inject it on these ones. Yeah, so with that done, we're going to go back to 3D, and you can see something like this is happening, but it's going to happen on the upside down section of it. So I'm just going to have to drag it so that the upright area too is protruded. So I'm just going to select the slab. I'm going to drag, I'm going to actually have to drag it upwards to make it a bit thicker. Somewhere, let's make the thickness a bit bigger, like 70. Yeah, so you can see that's happening. And then let me just make it something that you can see. And then I can just take the attributes from this one and inject it in the rest. So let me see if it's going to work. Yeah, inject it on the rest, maybe like this, to have a grid like pattern on your door. So now you can see my door is made, and the only section that is going to be remaining is when you're making your door schedule. Maybe you tell using lines where your hinges are going to be. So I'm just going to select the whole door and make the pens to be black. Here they're already black. Okay, so I'm just going to save my door as a save this slab as a door. I'm going to the libraries and objects, save and selections, and then save selection as a door. So I'm going to continue on save and write my custom door, custom door, custom door one. So I'm gonna save it, and then I'm going to press OK, and then you're going to ground floor, and then you're going to now look for the door tool. And coincidentally, our door is on the home page, and then you're going to make the seal to be a bit smaller, maybe 50. And then we are going to press our door here. Yeah, for this door, it's not going to actually swing like the normal custom doors, normal ArchiCad doors, but actually you just have to cope with this. But the custom door is actually mostly necessary when you're making an external door, because ArchiCad does not have metallic doors. So that said, you're going to make that knot, and let's see how the windows look like. So yeah, so if you can see my windows are like this, but I actually want them to be the same section as the other one. So I can actually just reduce the window sill. Let me first, let's see, let me reduce the window sills and see where they're going to be. So let's make them 700 and see. Yeah, so you can see you have to make them the same line. Yeah, so you can see now we have our custom doors and our custom window. Remember, for the doors, the custom door is usually made for external doors, because this is where you can have a steel door that is going to maybe help or prevent some robbery or some things like that. So now we have our custom windows and we have our custom door. I hope you have learned how to make such. So thanks for watching.